Hey there YouTube, Baylor here, and today I'm talking about the Watcher. Diving into a run here on Ascension 20 in which I attempt to break down the basics of what is the Watcher, how do you play the Watcher, how do you develop a deck of cards and turn it into a successful run of Slay the Spire with this purple lady. That's going to be the goal of this video. Gonna have a pretty long dialogue at the start here as I look at our starting bonuses and the opening map, break down some of the basics of the character and some important decision making in terms of pathing, and then as we start progressing through the run, I'll try to break down each of the decisions that I'm making as best I can to help you figure out how to evaluate things in your own Spire. Evaluation is definitely the name of the game. The Watcher's here to evaluate the Spire. And that's what you need to do in order to be successful at Spire in general. Can't simply give you a list of good cards and bad cards, although check out my Watcher tier list for something like that. Because in Slay the Spire, cards are always contextual. They're good for some circumstances, but not others. And no card is universally useful here. So, the Watcher is the fourth character available in Slay the Spire. You have to have completed at least one run with the other characters to unlock her. And she is, I would say, the most mechanically complex, at least in terms of starting out, of all of the four characters. This is mostly due to her stance change mechanic that is present in her starting deck. Like the other characters, the Watcher starts with some strikes and defends, which do a decent amount of damage, but there's also this Eruption and this Vigilance, deal 9 and a Wrath, and gain 8 block, enter Calm. Wrath makes you both deal and receive double damage, and is one of the core things that Watcher can use to optimize her damage. Successful play on Watcher is all about stacking bonuses, so to speak. It's all about playing powerful cards with a multiplier from Wrath stance, or setting up turns where you can gain a bunch of additional energy from Calm. Generally speaking, Watcher is looking to enter Wrath and then deal a bunch of burst damage with her other attacks in order to strike down her foes. Understanding how to improve or scale your starting deck partially requires an understanding of what the starting deck is capable of. With 10 permanent cards, 4 strikes, 4 defends, and 2 other starter cards, you draw through all of the cards in this deck in 2 turns, since you draw 5 cards per turn by default in Slay the Spire. I would describe this as a cycle time, so to speak. How many turns does it take to draw every card in the deck one time? It's kind of an important metric. And your starting deck starts with a very small cycle time. With only 10 cards, you see every card on average once every 2 turns. And so by default, you're going to be drawing the Eruption and Vigilance quite a bit, using the Vigilance to block on turns when enemies are attacking, and looking for openings where you can play your Eruption and then finish off foes with the strikes. To improve upon this starting deck, we need to either improve the cycle time by reducing the number of cards or by adding cards that draw cards, or we need to add cards with higher numeric values on them than the cards that we have currently. Cards that do more damage than strike, cards that block more than defend. Another metric we can look at with the starting deck here is damage per turn. Or amount of damage that we can do in an X number of turns, 2 or 3. And that starts out pretty high for the Watcher. The Watcher has the highest starting damage of any of the 3 characters, thanks to this Eruption, able to double her strikes and make them do 12 damage. Watcher's best damage over 2 turns is playing Eruption and then 4 strikes in Wrath stance, so 9 plus 48, 57 damage, or a maximum potential of a little bit more than 25 per turn. And that's very good at the start of the run. So again, we're going to look for ways to improve on that number as we progress through the Spire. Spire is a deck-building roguelite game. And the roguelite is the tricky part here. The format of Slay the Spire means that your abilities to improve on your deck of cards are limited. You only get a certain number of resources, a certain number of opportunities before you're forced to combat enemies of great power, the bosses at the end of the act. can be a real challenge for us here. Wonder what the starting bonus I'm going to take. Looking at the map in Act 1, before you even pick a starting bonus, you are allowed to look at the map, by the way, by clicking on the map button. And I highly recommend doing so, for your map layout and the path that you'll take along it can really shape your play very dramatically. Your primary goal in each act of Slay the Spire is to improve the strength of your deck of cards and improve the strength of your character. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. We can add new cards to the deck. We can upgrade cards that we already have. We can remove cards that we have. And we can also get relics and potions. Relics are gotten by purchasing them at shops. You get one guaranteed in the middle of each act in a treasure chest. You might find them randomly in event rooms, and they're guaranteed dropped by elites. The different nodes of map in Slay the Spire all offer you different kinds of rewards, and achieving the right mixture or achieving the right order of rewards is essential to getting a run of Slay the Spire off the ground. Basic combats, these enemy nodes, are the simplest and most common obstacle in the Spire, but they are not to be underestimated, for their rewards are significant. Every enemy gives you 1 card reward, 3 cards at random, as well as a chance for a potion drop and an average of 15 gold. The gold doesn't seem like much either, but it does add up as you defeat multiple of them. Right at the start of the run, card rewards are extremely important, as one of the best ways to improve the starting deck for each character is to add non-starter cards to it. Those cards are more powerful than strikes and defends and can be upgraded for even better effects. Event rooms can be all sorts of things. The contents of an event room in Slay the Spire change as you visit them. But the possibilities are an event, which are specific to the act and can contain all sorts of things. Highly recommend the Spire Wiki as a source for the breakdown on what every single possible event can be. These can also have a chance to be a fight, can randomly be a merchant, can randomly be a treasure, but they can't contain elite combats, except for certain events, which mimic elites. The most likely things that you're going to get from events are card removals or upgrades, sometimes money or relics. But it's extremely unlikely that event rooms offer you card rewards, unless the event room contains a combat. To that end, I highly discourage taking large numbers of event rooms, especially early in Act 1. And if your current strategy in Slay the Spire is visit as many unknown rooms as possible, then I regret to inform you that you're probably doing yourself a disservice, because visiting lots and lots of event rooms will not get you all that much strength in terms of your character. The most valuable nodes, generally speaking, are rest sites, which are either a heal or an upgrade as your character desires. The fact that you get an option here is huge. Sometimes you need one, sometimes you need the other. And elite rooms, which are like combats but more difficult and significantly more rewarding. You get a higher rarity card reward. I think it's like a 7% higher chance for rare cards from elites than versus combats. You also get a twice as much money as a regular fight, and most importantly of all, you get a relic. Relics go up here by the relic bar, and accumulating relics over the course of your run is one of the best ways to get stronger. And it looks like we're going to be having quite a few of those, because I can't exactly avoid elites all that easily early on here. If you're playing on Ascension 1 or higher, it is sometimes inevitable that early elites occur that you can't reasonably avoid. So dealing with them is one of your top priorities, and it's one of your top desires anyway. Elites, especially in Act 1, are comparatively easy to defeat and are extremely rewarding. Okay, I think I've talked enough that I can at least explain what our good path options are here. So, with the most rewarding nodes being elite nodes and rest site nodes, we can spot the quote-unquote most rewarding path, aka the path that gives us the most improvement to our deck. over the course of the act. And that's probably going to involve either Elite, Fire, Elite here, or Fire, Elite, Fire here, although that can't visit the Burning Elite. So we fight an Elite here, get an upgrade, fight an Elite, and then if we can bop these 2 Elites as well, that would be ideal. That goes through 4 Elites, which is a really ambitious Act 1, and not something that you'll often see succeed, I would say. So, with that being the most rewarding path, is that the most smart path? Generally speaking, I wouldn't say so. Now, Watcher is definitely more capable than the other characters at defeating Elites early in Act 1, and I think one of the best ways to get a Watcher run started, especially, is to get just a couple of relics. The Elites of Act 1 are... well, there's 3 different Elites that you can fight. The Gremlin Knob, the Lagavulin, and the Sentries. But the answer to all of them is rather similar. You need damage. All 3 of these fights will get worse for the player over time, so the smallest number of turns that you can win in is the goal for each of the Act 1 Elites. There are much safer paths that don't get into too many combats. But these paths don't improve our deck enough. For example, what if we take no Elites? We just move up this path here, take a couple of combats, get some events, upgrade, more events, upgrade, event, upgrade. This will get a number of cards added and a few upgrades, but we'll end up with no relics and relatively few gold, which is going to ultimately cost us in Act 2 and Act 3. All of the enemies in the Spire will get stronger and stronger over time, so we have to make sure that we're continually improving our own power, or we'll fall behind. And falling behind in a roguelite, especially Slay the Spire, is a rough time that can lead to a lost run pretty quickly. So I think what we want to do is probably go maybe 3 combats here to start, get some card rewards quickly, and prepare for this first Elite, which is going to be tough, but I think is manageable for the Watcher. So, in terms of starting bonus, what does that mean we should take? We get to either transform a card, we can turn... I would, generally speaking, advocate transforming or removing Defends first on Watcher. The bonus damage from Wrath means that strikes are a lot more valuable than they are on the other characters, and Watcher really needs to be able to do good damage in order to succeed well. One of the quickest ways to dunk a Watcher run is to lower the damage output of the starting deck by adding too many block cards or too many setup cards. And you'll find that it's very much possible to go down in performance from where you start, Watcher-wise. Our first 3 enemies having 1 health. I could maybe get this Elite for 1 hit point if we go through 2 shops. Generally speaking, Niao's Lament is not a bad option. You'll be offered this a lot if you die in Act 1 during your runs. We could trade all of our money for a random rare relic. I think that's kind of powerful too. Or we can swap our starting relic for a random boss relic. Honestly, all of these are pretty good. If I were to ranked choice these, ranking them from best to worst, I would say best is probably either Rare Relic or Transform. Second best is Boss Swap. And the last would be 1 hit point enemies. I'm actually not sure what between Transform and Random Rare Relic would be, but I'm definitely inclined to transform one of our starting defends and see how that lets us evolve from here. Will give us a little bit of direction initially, and can be an improvement in your first few combats. But again, transform and defend, not a strike here. Equal probability of all other cards that the Watcher has. We get a Wish to start. Oh my. That is not a card I would have wanted to hold on to, but we might be able to do some stuff with that. For 3 energy, this can either be plated armor, strength, or money. Kind of a deadweight card a lot of the time, but Wish's strength lies in its flexibility. You get to wish for whatever it is you need, whether that's this fight or next. And something that I think we could do with that is wish for money in these opening fights and then have a decent amount of cash going into the shop. So I think that's what I'll try to do. But I have to say this is a bit of an awkward and unusual start for us, that's for sure. That's for sure. That said, Wish is something that we would call scaling, so to speak. A card that allows us to improve the output of the deck on future turns. And permanent strength gain is absolutely a way to do that. The big problem with Wish, of course, is the 3 cost. Let's start here. So now that we're actually in combat with our Watcher, it's time to talk about how Watcher usually wins fights. Watcher's all about the setup, setting up a good turn that she can capitalize on later. And rarely is that more true than with Wish involved, I think. Watcher's generally speaking about kind of throwing out chip damage and banking energy with Calm, waiting for your Wrath to come along, and looking for an opportunity to play it. Since Vigilance blocks perfectly for 8, we definitely want to use that. And we should also strike one of these lice. Maybe even both of them using the Miracle. Of course, our starting relic on the Watcher is the Pure Water. This gives us 1 energy on a turn of our choice. It's a card that retains each turn, so we get to hold on to it. And we'll find that retain keyword on a lot of other Watcher cards as well. It's one of the sort of directions the Watcher can go in. We definitely want to strike this frontmost louse first. This louse is buffing, which means it's guaranteed to attack us on the next turn. A pretty common rule amongst Slay the Spire enemies is that they cannot do the same thing either 2 times in a row or can't do the same thing 3 times in a row. Usually 2 in a row is the limit for attacks. At most, once in a row for stuff like buffs and debuffs. At most, twice in a row for things like attacks. Again, general rule. The specifics of each enemy are a little different sometimes. And there are exceptions to every rule in Spire. Every single one. So I think I will break both of their block. That way we can kill each of them with a single attack next turn. And if we can find a good opportunity to play our Wish, that would be even better. Strike here kills 1, defend, prevents us from taking any damage. We can loop back around, try to get Wish into play. It'll attack me next turn. I don't think I'm going to be able to play Wish with how this has worked out. So hold on, I'll try. I wish I... Wait! Oh! I've done it! Money! And all without taking damage. Generally speaking, in Slay the Spire, when you're in a combat, your goal is to progress through that combat while losing as few health as possible. Health is the only... Well, health and potions are the only resource that is preserved between combats. The state of your deck, all the exhaust status of your cards, all of that is reset between each combat. So it's only the amount of damage you take that ultimately matters in each fight. So 3 options here: Sanctity, Crushed Joints, and Sand of Time. I'm going to rank and skip, of course, actually. Skip is the 4th option and one that should never be ignored, because skipping cards is absolutely sometimes the best thing to do. Adding a bad card to your deck is going to really cost you, because cards that aren't helpful, if you draw them instead of the cards that are helpful, you're going to have a bad time. And every card that you add to the deck means 1 more card that you have to draw through each combat. So, of these options, Sanctity. This is block, and then says if the last card played was a skill, draw 2. Sanctity improves what I would describe as our cycle time. It reduces the number of turns it takes to draw through the entire deck, because it draws cards itself. And it also improves our quote-unquote block density. The number of block cards in the deck divided by the number of total cards in the deck gives you your block density. Block density is something that is, I think, an important thing to keep an eye on in a run of Slay the Spire. If your block density is too low, then your average hand won't contain any block cards, and you won't be able to block enemy attacks. If your block density is too high, then you may draw hands that are only block cards and be unable to do any damage against your foes. So adding block cards early can be a part of a problem. If your block density goes too high, you're in real trouble. And as aforementioned, here in Act 1, especially with elites coming up, damage is our top priority. We do have 2 damage options. Crush Joints is 8 damage and can apply Vulnerable. Vulnerable is a status effect that makes enemies take more attack damage, which is multiplicative with the bonus damage from Wrath. Can be very nice on the Watcher. Or Sands of Time, big 20 damage card, but gets cheaper each time it's retained. So it's all about holding on to Sands of Time and then playing it for massive damage a few turns later. I want one of the 2 damage cards. Truth be told, I have a difficult time to choosing between the 2. I think the Wish and the Sands of Time are a little difficult to play together, but not impossible. At this moment, I would probably put Crush Joints and Sands in Time as my top 1 and 2 cards. If I was only offered one of these 2 damage cards, I would pick whichever one I was offered. Skip is my 3rd choice, and Sanctity is my 4th choice. Here, early in the run, we don't have the energy to support drawing cards with Sanctity. The block density increase is not meaningful. I think the Sanctity would be a detriment to add, but the other 2 are good. I'll take the Crush Joints. We'll just get some added Vulnerable, some no-nonsense, the cheaper option by far. And we'll make use of it that way. So, Cultist. Cultist will attack us every turn. After turn 1, getting stronger and stronger. But the gimmick of this enemy is that you have kind of a free turn 1, which is our opportunity to get in big damage with Eruption. Our draw pile looks a little questionable. We may not be able to play this Wish, but what we should do here is Eruption and Strike for 24 damage, bringing the enemy to low health quickly. Damage is the one common element in every combat that you have to deal with in Slay the Spire. Every single enemy requires you to deal damage to kill them in order to win the fight and progress. So all winning strategies in Slay the Spire have to involve a damage plan that can kill enemies. There is one notable exception in the Transient. However, the Transient is easiest to defeat by doing damage to them, so I think that rule still applies. Alright, we're not going to Wish in that fight. I don't see any reasonable way to avoid getting hit for a lot of damage in order to gain the money. But we should still have enough to be able to buy something valuable at the shop. Another interesting set of 3 of Watcher's commons. Flurry of Blows, a very common one. This is a 0-cost attack, but it comes back to your hand whenever you change stances. Change stance means going from no stance to Wrath or Calm, going from Calm or Wrath to the other, or going from Calm or Wrath to no stance. Exiting your stance is also a stance change. Any of those will cause Flurry of Blows to come back. It's also a very nice card alongside the Wish, as Strength makes this card hit quite a bit harder. Prostrate here is a little bit of free block, and it gives us Mantra towards Watcher's 3rd stance, which is Divinity. You need 10 Mantra to enter Divinity, but if you do so, you get triple damage and 3 energy. Divinity is one way to kind of scale up your Watcher deck, or develop the Watcher deck. As I'm picking cards, I've kind of got a couple of possible branches for ways that we can develop here on the Watcher. At the start, we simply want improved blocks and attacks, but from there, we're looking to incorporate either things like Retain, cards that stay in our hand at the end of turn, which can allow us to accumulate cards in our hand to get more than the base 5 per turn. We can Scry, which lets us look at the cards in the draw pile, potentially discarding them some. Scrying can reduce the cycle time of your deck and can help you ensure that the cards that you're drawing next turn are the cards that you in fact need. We can also improve our deck by adding more sources of energy or card draw. Pressure Points is a bit of an odd card out here. Pressure Points is a damage-dealing skill. It applies a status effect called Mark. Pressure Points is the only card that uses this status effect, which makes it a little bit of a meme, unfortunately. Pressure Points only interacts with other copies of Pressure Points. If you get 3 or 4 copies, it can be effective, but otherwise it's not. My personal ranking for this card reward: 1. Flurry of Blows, 2. Skip, 3. Prostrate, 4. Pressure Points, I think is my rank. I would skip over either of these two at the moment, as we just need to ensure we're doing enough damage to get through the next few fights and the elite. I'll be taking this Flurry of Blows. And our third opponent is the Jawworm. Nothing we can really do here except take some damage and deal a little bit, lowering Jawworm himself. At least we didn't draw the Eruption on turn 1. Do I dare wish for money? Might be more reasonable to Crush Joints and Strike. We could do 8 + 9 + 9 with Vulnerable here, which is almost all of the damage required, and then we can defeat the Jawworm next turn. Or I can wish for money, and we play the Vigilance Defend next turn. Try to kill later. Given that we're about to go into a shop, I think that extra little bit of cash might make a big difference here. So even though this could cost me some health, I'm going to choose to wish. Let's see here. Is this lethal? So 2 quick tips for Watcher play in general. 1. Every turn, look at your draw pile and consider what you're going to be drawing on your next turn. 2. Take a deep, long look at the cards in your hand and make sure it's not possible to kill your opponents on this turn. It's very tempting to just block here with Vigilance Defend, but we can do better if Eruption, Crush Joints, and Strike gets a kill. And it's going to be 9 + 16 + 18. That does kill. Eruption puts us into Wrath Stance, making our other attacks do double damage. 16 + 12 is actually perfectly 28. But if we use the Miracle, we can even apply Vulnerable with the Crush Joints. And Strike as well. So we ended up greeting pretty comfortably there, getting our money's worth. Now we have another good potion, a Blessing of the Forge, and some spicy choices. I like these options. Bowling Bash hits 1 enemy really hard, depending on how many enemies are in combat. So if there are 3 enemies, this deals 21 damage to 1 of them. Really good way to just snipe 1 foe out of many. Pray gives us Mantra, more steps towards Divinity, and also puts in Insight. Throw cost, draw 2 with Retain into the draw pile. Insights are very useful for controlling your deck shuffles on Watcher, and do provide a little bit of, I guess you could call it card draw, card advantage. Or Conclude hits all enemies really hard, but then ends your turn, which is definitely awkward. I think I'm going to go for a no-nonsense Bowling Bash here. With my rank choice being Bowling Bash 1, Conclude 2, Skip 3, Pray 4. Bowling Bash 1, Conclude 2, Skip 3, Pray 4 are my ranked choices here. And we'll be taking that Bowling Bash. We're also going to be taking our 202 gold into the store now. And the options here are intriguing. Deeply intriguing to me. So, lots of things available in a shop. Shops are one of the major resource nodes of Slay the Spire, and knowing exactly what to do at each shop is pretty tough. There's always 3 relics for sale, 5 cards from your character here at the top, 2 colorless cards, cards that are not specific to your character's class, 3 potions, and the almighty card removal. There's some pretty sweet stuff here. I like Bag of Preparation because it gives us more card draw on turn 1. Which can get us a little bit of a head start. Art of War gives us energy if we play no attacks on our turn. A little bit awkward with... Well, we have a lot of attacks, so it's pretty hard not to play attacks, but it's nice after playing Wish. Or Orange Pellets, allowing us to remove debuffs by playing a power attack and a skill in the same turn. I like orange pellets a lot overall, but I think a Bag of Prep is quite no nonsense here. Of the 3 relics, I think my preferred order would be Bag of Prep, Pellets, Art of War, but this is a pretty close one. They're all very good in their own rights. Orange Pellets and Fasting pair together very nicely, and if you could afford both of them, I would recommend it strongly, but it's not within our price range here. Card removals are also extremely good. Removing a card is a very, very powerful thing at any time in Slay the Spire. Removing a starting card reduces your deck's cycle time, means that you're able to draw through all your cards with 1 fewer draw required. It also means that you're more likely to see the powerful or upgraded cards that are not the card that you removed. But the Bag of Prep is 2 additional draw instantly, and that can be pretty good. I'm also thinking about this Just Lucky, as it's on sale and we can afford it alongside the Bag of Prep. Of the cards that are here, I would say Conclude is pretty good. Adds significant area damage to this deck. Just Lucky is decent. It adds a little bit of damage, a little bit of block, and a little bit of scry. Halt is decent block, but we don't have enough Wrath stance to make it reliable. You have to draw the Halt when you're in Wrath, which is tough to do. Collect is the card I would least like to add here. Collect is an energy generator, but it takes multiple turns, and overall really doesn't do its job all that well. It certainly would not improve our deck's ability to fight right now. What Collect does is trade some energy this turn for more energy on future turns. And here in Act 1, we really want to be making stuff happen on turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3. Collect is not conductive to that. Conducive? So I think my personal choice is going to be the Bag of Prep and the Just Lucky here, giving us an extra 0-cost card that we might draw on turn 1, a free attack that can scale up with the Wish, and a way to find the Flurry of Blows as well. Now that we've hit 5 additional cards to the starting deck, it starts to become less beneficial to add additional unupgraded common cards to this deck, as we'll end up kind of achieving a peak density of cards. Each additional card you add also makes it more and more difficult to draw any particular card. So there's definitely a practical limit to how large a deck should get in Slay the Spire. Alright, this is a pretty terrifying encounter we've rolled. Jawworm attacking for 12 on turn 1 with backup, but I think thanks to this Bowling Bash, we have enough damage here, and the Flurry of Blows. Thank you, Bag of Preparation. Eruption does 9 on its own. That would make Bowling Bash then deal 28, and Flurry of Blows will deal 8. We also get the Flurry of Blows back if we play Flurry first. So 9 plus 28 plus 12, 49 damage. That's a KO. In fact, I can even play the Flurry here. So, that's our turn then. Flurry. Eruption. Flurry. Bowling Bash. I could Miracle and Strike to do another 12 here. That turn really showing off why offensive cards first on Watcher can be so impactful to your run. I'm going to hold on to this Miracle here to try to play Wish with it. Looks like that's a no. Unless I want to take 5. I don't want to take 5. Okay. We find a Fruit Juice, giving us 5 max HP. As well as 3 more common cards. Just Lucky, Pressure Points, and Consecrate. I think I would rank Consecrate highest, then Skip, then Just Lucky, then Pressure Points here. Consecrate gives us some free area damage and has a pretty good upgrade. Upgrading all of its... upgrading the damage to each enemy substantially. Can help us out with the 3 Sentries fight, too. I think this is just barely better than skipping. Skipping is actually a completely acceptable choice here as well. But I think that pressure points is a big trap. Okay, I'll take the Consecrate. Just one more free area damage attack. Again, these are all going to scale really well with strength from Wish if we start wishing for power. Going into this elite fight, quite frankly, these potions are very strong in terms of their ability to prevent damage. Haven't talked about potions a whole lot, but let's do that now. On Ascension 20, you only get 2 potion slots to work with, and potions will drop occasionally from enemies. Potions are one-time, very powerful effects that, if used properly, can make a huge difference in your Slay the Spire run. Generally speaking, when I pick up potions, I kind of have a use case in mind for them. This Blessing of the Forge and the Explosive Potion offer the ability to significantly improve our damage for one fight. And my use case for these potions is absolutely kill the elites of Act 1 so that we can get lots of relics. Both of these could save us quite a bit of health in an upcoming fight. Whereas this fruit juice is 5 health now and forever, which is good, but I really need these resources to be able to get through these upcoming elite fights. Which means I might actually leave this fruit juice on the ground. Very unusual choice here. I think normally you would see me discard a potion to pick up and then drink this fruit juice for the 5 health. But right now, I want to make sure that I have these in hand for this fight so that I can kill it more easily. Okay, with that said, I'm going to leave fruit juice on the ground, and we're going to go into our first elite fight here. It is the Gremlin Knob. Gremlin Knob is very much a test of damage output, a test that we are going to pass. Unfortunately, we didn't find our eruption here on turn 1, but we did find a whole lot of other stuff that can do very good damage, and I think this might be a great turn to use our Blessing of the Forge, letting us upgrade all of the cards in this hand. All 3 strikes, the Consecrate, the Just Lucky, and the Miracle, so that we can find a killing line next turn, perhaps. Let's do that. Every single one of these attack cards gets +3 damage, which means we get to do a whole heck of a lot, bringing Knob all the way down to 46 health. I'll discard both the Flurry and the Strike to maximize the chance that I draw Eruption next turn. And that should hopefully allow us to kill the Gremlin Knob on the following turn. I think so. Vigilance, Crush Joints, Flurry of Blows, Miracle, Eruption, Flurry of Blows, Bowling Bash. How much damage is that? We do 8 from Crush Joints, plus 6 from the Flurry, plus 13 from Eruption, plus 12 from the Flurry, plus 21 from Bowling Bash. We can deal actually 60 damage with this hand, and that's more than enough to immediately kill the Gremlin Knob. We could Eruption before Crush Joints. We miss out on 4 damage from Eruption and 2 damage from Flurry. So it's 6 damage versus... Yeah, I should do 2 more damage if I Crush Joints when in Wrath Stance, actually. So we'll do it this way, then. Oh, actually, no, I can't play the Crush Joints afterwards, because of the order I have to do this in. Okay. Crush Joints, Flurry. We're using the Miracle to get the energy for this. And don't forget, we get 2 more energy upon leaving Calm Stance here. Picking up a Smiling Mask for cheaper card removals at shops. Smiling Mask is really, really nice here. And 3 more cards, 3 more attack cards. Another Bowling Bash, Signature Move, which can only be played if it's the only attack in our hand. It's a pretty challenging card to play. Though this deck could do a decent job of it. Or Follow Up, which is free if you previously played an attack. I think we've got enough zero-cost attacks that my ranked choice ends up being Skip is the first priority here. Follow Up at 2, Bowling Bash at 3, Signature Move at 4. Well, maybe not at 4. The Signature Move, you'd have a hard time making it work here. That's what I'll say. If you were to make a Signature Move work, what you want is relatively few attack cards. Having access to lots of card removals can really make that work. and good energy generation. We're going to start skipping cards. We do not want the deck to become too large. What we want to do is get a card upgraded at this rest site and proceed into our second elite fight. Generally speaking, on Watcher, one of the best first cards to upgrade is Eruption, making it cost 1 instead of 2. Lets you play more damage cards on the turn that you play the Eruption, or lets you Eruption and Vigilance in the same turn. Both of those things are very, very good. When choosing an upgrade in Slay the Spire, it can be a little overwhelming. You've got so many different options, and every card gets a different bonus. Strikes and Defends get +3 to their number. The Vigilance gets +4 block. The Wish boosts all of its different effects. Crush Joints is a little bit more damage in 1 turn of Vulnerable. Flurry at +2. Bowling Bash gets 3 per hit. My advice when thinking about what upgrades to get in Slay the Spire is I kind of break them down into a few categories. The first are damage upgrades, anything that improves the damage of a card. When I look at these upgrades, I look at the flat amount of damage that's upgraded. So it's not a percentage comparison or anything. Strike goes from 6 to 9, that's a 50% improvement, whereas Crush Joints goes from 8 to 10, that's a 25% improvement. Don't worry about those percentage numbers, because what you're carrying is actually about the sheer points of damage. So 2 + 2 on Crush Joints, +3 on Strike. And that bonus is then multiplied if you get multiple targets. So Consecrate is 3 damage, just like the Strike, but it's 3 damage to all enemies, which makes the Consecrate upgrade way better than the Strike upgrade. And I could say the same of the Bowling Bash. Bowling Bash upgrade is better than Strike upgrade, because this bonus may be applied multiple times. Energy upgrades are also extremely valuable. Anytime you can make a card cost less, if the card is a power or a card that exhausts, then you'll only be able to play it 1 time. So that's a 1-time energy discount. Those are still pretty good. But what's really juicy are cards that don't exhaust, cards that can be used multiple times and have an energy discount. And that's definitely the case for Eruption. It's why Eruption is one of the best upgrades here. Of the cards we currently have, I'd say our 3 best upgrades are Eruption, Consecrate, and probably Crush Joints for the extra 1 vulnerable turn, which is a big deal. Prioritizing extra turns of debuff, I think, is a really good idea for your upgrades, generally speaking. And that Crush Joints upgrade will probably follow shortly. Alright, we get the Lagavulin this time. This enemy sleeps for up to 3 turns, allowing us the chance to perhaps wish for something. And given my current situation, I'll probably just wish for Strength here, so that we can easily defeat this fool. Wish is right on top, too. Now, of course, I could simply play Eruption and do a lot of damage this turn. But let's let Sleeping Eggs lie. And go ahead and play Wish here to become almighty. Gain 3 strength. I think that's what we're looking for. Then we'll let them sleep for 1 more turn. On this turn, they wake up no matter what. So on this turn, we should attack no matter what. With everything we've got. Could have also wished for the Plated Armor, doing less damage, but getting more block per turn out of the deal. I think we'll find that the bonus damage helps a lot here. All of these low-cost attacks are so much deadlier with a little bit of strength to them. For example, Flurry Blow's now doing 14 damage, Consecrate doing 16, so on and so forth. I think I can get a kill next turn if I discard this Defend, actually. Yeah, this is going to be enough to kill. So we take 10 on this turn, but then on the next turn we're able to defeat the Lagavulin before we take another bop for 20. Okay, and that was pretty comfortable. Get the Darkstone Periapt, giving us max health if we're cursed. I wouldn't say that relic's probably going to get a whole lot of use, but it's something that we can consider as we progress further. Not every relic is always going to be useful to you. Sometimes just getting a lot of them so that you have a couple that are really impactful is good. What ridiculous card reward we're offered, by the way. This is a tough choice. Rushdown is a power. Powers are put into play and stay that way. So is Devotion, for the record. Rushdown says, whenever we enter Wrath, draw 2 additional cards. Card draw, a very difficult thing to come by in Spire, usually, and a very powerful thing when you can get your hands on lots of it. Rushdown is Watcher's probably best card draw card, being a reusable way to get some cards drawn, and really contributing to what I like to call the stance dance of the Watcher, where switching back and forth between Wrath and Calm, or Wrath and some other source stance, becomes fuel for a whole bunch of different powers and such. Wheel Kick, pretty good damage, also a source of card draw, but we have to be willing to pay the energy price, which I think is rather difficult with this Wish already. If you're in Wrath and you play another card that says Wrath, you do not draw a card. You must actually enter Wrath stance from a non-Wrath source in order to get the bonus here. Last option, Devotion, 2 mantra per turn, so 5 turns after playing Devotion. That's a long wait. We enter Divinity, getting triple damage for 1 turn. I think my choice here would be Rushdown 1, Devotion 2, Wheel Kick 3, and Skip 4. All of these cards are pretty good. Card draw, especially useful when you have 0-cost cards in your deck, as being able to draw those 0-cost cards multiple times really starts to become powerful. We'll pick up this Rushdown and be pretty happy with it. Rushdown is a card that also has an energy reduction upgrade, although since it's a power, this is also only a one-time energy reduction, compared to the multi-time energy reduction of the Eruption. Since our health is still high, I think we can continue to fight elites here. We get an excellent relic out of this chest. The Captain's Wheel gives us 18 block at the start of turn 3. Which is crucially useful against the elites of Act 1, but will be very good against a whole myriad of opponents too. As we get closer to the boss, I should talk a little bit about bosses in Slay the Spire and kind of our decision-making as we go towards them. Each act has 3 possible bosses that you can face. In Act 1, the possibilities are the Hexaghost, the Slime Boss, and the Guardian. This is the Hexaghost, who is essentially a damage race. You have to defeat this boss in 9 turns, or you're going to take a lot of damage. So having consistent damage output is king for Hexaghost. We have to make sure as we go through that we're picking cards that will continue to improve our damage output. The Wish and the Crush Joints especially are really going to help with this for that fight. Bosses, generally speaking, are a test of your deck's ability to quote-unquote scale. Here in the Spire community, you have this term scaling, which usually refers to anything that makes your deck do more damage or produce more block on later turns. So a great example of quote-unquote scaling is Wish here, giving us strength to make all of our attacks do more damage. You could also consider Crush Joints to be quote-unquote scaling, because applying Vulnerable causes any further attacks played to do even more damage. So you're able to multiply the value there. And effective multiplication, these actually stack with each other too. So, for example, Wish adds 3 points of base damage to an attack. Flurry Blows goes from 4 to 7. That modified 7 is then what gets used to calculate damage with Wrath and with Vulnerable. So if we're in Wrath, that 7 goes to 14, and then add 50% to that, becomes 21 damage from Flurry of Blows with 3 strength in Wrath and Vulnerable. All these stacking bonuses are really the core of successful Watcher a lot of the time. Wow, that is a mighty spicy set of gremlins we just got. 2 sneaky gremlins attacking us for 10 on turn 1. And the Mad Gremlin attacking for 5. This is definitely a good use case for the Explosive Potion, but so is this fight. So if there's a way we can get through without using our potion, that'd be great. I'm not convinced that there is currently, though. I mean, we take 10 damage. If I triple defend, actually not quite 10. We take 8 damage. If I look to block here. I'll probably just use the potion here. Oh, that's true. The potion also lets me wish for money. I like that, actually. Yeah, we'll use it. 10 damage to all enemies is very, very efficient here. Blah. Take that strike next turn. This wizard's going to attack us on turn 3, so we have a little while to deal with them. Whereas the Mad Gremlin will keep attacking each turn. This is definitely a fight where having 2 defense of a deck results in harsh punishments. If you can't do enough damage to kill all of the gremlins and the wizard quickly, your ability to block, 20 damage per turn is not going to be there. But with our myriad of attacks, even though Eruption was low in the deck, we have no problem there. 3 more commons. Lots of common cards seeing this act, and that's okay. 2 sources of Scry. Third Eye is block and Scry 3, whereas Cutthroat Fate is damage and Scry 2, draw 1. Both are pretty similar in the amount of cards that they let you see. And then, of course, another Bowling Bash. I love Scry on Watcher. Being able to look at the draw pile really, really helps in a lot of situations. Question is, do we want the Cutthroat Fate or the Third Eye? My ranked choice is going to be Third Eye and Cutthroat Fate are 1 and 2. I'm not sure which one's better. Skip is number 3. Bowling Bash is the 4th option here. We do not want another Bowling Bash with the current attacks that we have. But Third Eye and Cutthroat Fate both reduce your quote-unquote cycle time. Since you're able to discard cards you don't want with Scry or status cards, they make you draw through the deck more quickly. We need more damage for Hexaghost, so I think I'm inclined to take the Cutthroat Fate over the Third Eye, but this is a pretty close choice. If we were fighting the Guardian boss, I would choose the Third Eye here all the time. So this is a great example of a card where a card reward where the outcome of which one I think is best is really dependent on our ability to overcome the next visible challenge. And the challenge that we can see says, please do more damage. Sentries with plus strength, a little scary, but here's our Bowling Bash to do really good damage on turn 1. Would have been really nice to draw Eruption this turn. But even so, I can do some serious stuff here. Kabonk. Sentry's Fight is a deceptively threatening one in early Act 1. They don't do a whole lot of damage on their own, but the fact that there's 3 of them and the fact that they add stinky dazed cards, this swirly move adds 3 dazed to our discard pile, which is going to mess with our ability to draw actually good cards pretty substantially. I am going to play Rushdown here with the Miracle. I'll defend for 5. Maybe should have kept the Miracle. Strike 1 fewer time. Oh, good. Success in the Sentry's Fight usually involves killing 1 or more of them really quickly. Otherwise, the fight can get out of control. Very unlikely that I can do 40 damage. I can do Eruption, then Vigilance. Or Vigilance, then Eruption. When I enter Wrath, I'm going to draw 2 more cards. That's guaranteed at least 1 damage card. Also important to keep in mind, next turn we gain 18 block, which makes ending our turn in Wrath actually pretty attractive. So I think it's best to tank some damage here. Let's go Vigilance, then Eruption. That brings this to 24, which is pretty spooky. But we'll block for 13, take 11. Do some good damage there. Oh, actually, probably wasn't supposed to attack this one. Supposed to keep attacking this one. All right, what's on top of the deck? Wish! I don't want to draw Wish, but thank you. 14 plus 8 is 22. We're attacking this one, the one that's going to be attacking me next turn, as I want to make sure it dies before it's able to hit me. Okay. There we go. And then next turn we draw Eruption, which kills. All told, we didn't take that much damage here, which is good, considering that I had to use the Explosive Potion against the Gremlins. Pick up a Tori, which reduces unblocked attack damage from 5 to 1. That can be very nice against Hexaghost, or against any other multi-attacking enemy. Nirvana, Bowling Bash, Protect. Nirvana is another example of what I would call a scaling card, giving us block whenever we scry. So that would add 3 additional block to the Cut-Through Fates and to the Just Lucky. Essentially, 6 block per deck cycle is a way to look at this. Given that it takes us 4 turns to draw those cards, you can say that the Nirvana is about 3 block per turn. Actually, no. 6 block, 4 turns. 1.5 block per turn, excuse me. And that is a pretty sad deal. You need more than that to make it worthwhile. No, the Nirvana could become better later. Gets a little bit better with an upgrade. But generally speaking, I find that this specific card is pretty below the curve. Another copy of Bowling Bash, or Protect, which is a big, beefy block card that stays in your hand. Actually, not the world's worst Protect. I think it just adds a little bit of block consistency, a little bit of block density. The deck doesn't have a lot of block in it, so in Act 2, we're going to really struggle defensively, which I think is fairly common for acts where you fight Hexaghost as your boss. My rank choice here is, I think, Skip first, Protect second, Bowling Bash third, Nirvana fourth. So the Protect is okay, but I think I'd rather Skip and keep our overall card count low. Even though our health is relatively low, I'm going to continue to upgrade cards here, with Crush Joints being next on the docket, as I'm fairly confident now that we have a fairly well-developed deck of cards and a lot of relics that we should be able to defeat this elite without much trouble, especially with aid from our Captain's Wheel. Block per card scryed. I like that idea for Nirvana. Per card scryed. Really good turn 1 here. You're always happy to see Eruption turn 1 against the Knob. Got 1, 2, 3 cost of attacks I want to play. Our ideal is simply killing Gremlin Knob on turn 2, which I think with triple damage is going to be doable here. That's the hope anyway. Oh yeah, I have to play a skill. So yes, I'm playing the Miracle. So yeah, let's go Rush Down, Eruption. Good choice. Double or triple? I mean triple. Counting for twice from Wrath, and then 1.5 from Vulnerable. That makes triple. Strike doing here 18 damage, which is 6 times 3. And we're easily able to defeat him with energy to spare, no less, before taking any hit at all. That lets us get a Blood Vial. 2 health per combat will slowly but surely help us out here. Starting to build power through the collective effect of all of these different relics. Get a very unusual set of card rewards here. Just Lucky again. Conjure Blade, which puts an Expunger, this is an X-cost card, into the draw pile. Expunger's all about paying a lot of energy to create a powerful sword, and then playing that powerful sword over and over again. Expunger doesn't exhaust, so the idea is to make like a 9 times 5 and then play it a bunch of times. For Conjure Blade to be good, you need lots of scry and lots of energy. I don't think we quite have what we would need. Or Weave, which returns to our hand whenever we scry. Comes back with Just Lucky and Cut Through Fate. Kind of a nice little complement to the Flurry of Blows. And I think a Weave could be reasonable here, especially with our strength. I like Weave more than I like Nirvana, generally speaking. Yeah, let's take one Weave. Let's take Weave here. And now for everyone's favorite game, is this lethal? Can we kill this poor man on turn 1? With what I have drawn here. The play would be Eruption, then Bowling Bash, Strike, Weave. That's 9 plus 13, 17. 9 plus 34. No, not a kill. But I could kill if this was Flurry of Blows. If we just block with Eruption, then we'll take 5 damage, which Tori actually reduces all the way down to 1, which is really, really nice. Rushdown could potentially get us there if we drew Consecrate, Flurry, or Just Lucky. I think simply taking 1 this turn is quite nice. Vigilance, although I won't be able to enter Wrath next turn. That's okay. This is fine. We'll even keep the Miracle for now. Just take a little bit. Progress to the next turn. 10. 13. Should do better than that. Do I have 1 energy or 2 left? Just did Miracle, Crush Joints, Fate, so I have 2. Strike plus Strike is 9 plus 9, not quite a kill here. So let's discard both of these. Draw the final card, which is Flurry of Blows. Oh, but Weave. So we do have a kill. Forgot about Weave there. Yes, okay, I gotta remember that I have that Weave. A little bit of a blunder there. 3 more cards. Another Prostrate, Carve Reality, which creates a retaining attack, or another Protect. My personal rank choice here, Skip is first, then Carve Reality, then Protect, then Prostrate with the following deck. I think we have enough damage cards that I don't feel compelled to add another. Alright, going into our boss. Before each boss, there's always a rest site. I personally think it's a good idea to evaluate, do you have enough health to fight the boss? Is your deck going to be able to match up against it with the current health total that you have, or do you need to rest in order to gain more health to defeat the boss? Sometimes an upgrade is better than a rest, even if you're in a pretty precarious position, because gaining a numerical advantage can save a ton of health in certain fights. Hexaghost is certainly no exception. This particular boss is fairly easy on low health. They have an attack on turn 2 that scales with our current hit points. And with a 29 health, it's going to be relatively low. The Tori will also further reduce their attack damage here. So I think we're quite confident upgrading a card right now. But if you don't have an exact knowledge of how your deck lines up, you may be better off resting against the boss. As a general rule, one of your best ways to win a Slay the Spire run is to make it to the next act and worry about it from there. So what upgrade helps us most against Hexaghost? I think +1 strength could be a really big deal. But I think we could also benefit from improving our Scry by upgrading the Cut Through Fate, or maybe even upgrading our block on Vigilance. But let's upgrade the Wish. This will be more strength for Hexaghost and more money if we are able to play it in later fights. Not that we've managed to play it too many times, but here and there we have. And luckily enough, we even draw it on turn 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. We're going to wish for Almighty and gain 4 points of strength, making all of these attacks do 4 more damage. keep this Defend on top to block next turn. We know we're getting attacked. And I'll keep the Miracle in hand. Okay. Not too bad. Relatively good draw order, in fact. Some free attacks in there. So 3x6, these is reduced essentially to 1x6 by the Tory, at least the ones that get through our block. So I'll take 4 if I play the Bowling Bash, whereas if I play the Defend, I'll take 2. 13 block. 2, 3. Yeah, so 2 damage to deal 11 to Hexaghost. Let's do the damage. You said this fight is a damage race, so it's rather important here that we do the damage. Alright, Crush Joints, I need to play the Miracle to make you work, so what's happening here? Thank you for the Captain's Wheel. And then it's a 6x2 attack on this turn. Awkward is how I would describe this. We draw 2 cards if I play Eruption, but being in Wrath doubles the attack damage dealt by our enemy. If I don't draw a block card off this Eruption, then I would die. Immediately. And if I don't play the Eruption, then I don't get to go into Wrath. So I can risk it all by playing Eruption, or I can go Strike, Strike, Crush Joints here. Just do some damage, take 14 here, 2 from this burn in our hand, and then some from our opponents. Tory only reduces damage that's 5 or less, so this is just over the threshold, and I won't be able to reduce it at all. Okay, I'm not going to play this Eruption, although it's probably the correct choice. We've just lucky we're on top, I would have barely lived. Discard that. We want to find Eruption again soon. But note that thanks to 4 strength, we're actually doing pretty good damage here. Oh man, this is a bad time to draw Vigilance. I might die next turn. Let's do it as follows. Get back all those things. Strength go to 9? Vigilance. I am deeply concerned. I need to do every point of damage I can get. But we might be dead here. Is that enough damage to kill? $25 plus some. Oh, and Weave comes back, actually. Hold on. So we can do 8 plus 8 plus 11 plus 14 plus 9. 50. 50? No. 1 short? Okay, so that means Cut Their Fate needs to find any attack or any playable skill. And yes, we need to Weave first because Cut Through Fate will make it return to our hand. Hey, we drew an attack. And Eruption at that. So we are successfully through the Hexaghost fight as we're able to find a kill here. We could even block with the Vigilance. That was a little close for comfort, but we're through it. GG. Whew. We're offered Alpha, Brilliance, and Devotion. 3 of Watcher's rare cards. Rare cards are a little odd for this character. Many of them are kind of complicated cards with a lot of setup required in order to have some kind of payoff. For example, Alpha. Alpha shuffles a Beta, which then shuffles an Omega. Omega is a 3-cost power that says deal 50 damage to all enemies every turn. Alpha can be really good if, and really only if, you're able to draw and play enough cards to get the Omega effect in play quickly. In most combats, it's just dead weight and can really slow you down. Brilliance offers pretty good base damage that gets significantly higher if you have any mantra generation, something that we've repeatedly refused on this run, and we'll probably continue to do so. Or devotion as a source of mantra. My personal ordering here, probably skip first, Brilliance second, devotion third, alpha fourth. These are useful enough rares in their own right, but aren't really synergistic with what we're doing at the moment. We're looking for stuff that says draw cards, we're looking for stuff that says scry, and we're looking for things that say either enter calm stance or enter wrath stance. But none of this says any of that. So we're skipping. All of it. Lastly, we have to choose one of 3 boss relics. Boss relics are one of the most difficult decisions in any run of Slay the Spire and very much define how your deck continues to develop. Many of the boss relics have a downside in addition to an upside, but some of them, like the Holy Water and Violet Lotus here, 2 Watcher-specific boss relics, don't have a downside. So our choices are Holy Water, 3 miracles instead of 1. Makes it a lot more easy to use this Crush Joints, makes it a lot more easy to play the Wish, because we can have 6 energy on turn 1. But it's once the miracles are gone, they're gone. Runic Dome is energy every turn, but we can no longer see what the enemy is doing. I'm not going to do an over-explained Dome run, I'm just going to be very honest. That said, Dome's energy every turn can be pretty useful here. Lastly, Lotus gives you extra energy when you leave Calm. I think Lotus gets better and better the more cards that enter Calm that you have. Currently, we only have 1. So my ranked choice here is probably Holy Water first, Runic Dome second, Violet Lotus third, as this is only going to be 1 extra energy every 19 cards. So 1 energy every 4 turns, 3 or 4 turns. Runic Dome is 1 energy every turn. And Holy Water is up to 3 energy on turn 1, but it's just 3 energy flat per combat. A lot of fights aren't going to make it a full 3 turns, so I think the Holy Water is an excellent upgrade to our starting relic here. Alright, now we're into Act 2. In Act 2, just like Act 1, the priority is to get our deck as strong as possible. The rules are mostly the same. We still want to visit elite nodes and rest site nodes. However, the events available in unknown rooms have now changed. And generally speaking, I think the event pool is a lot better in Act 2 and Act 3. A lot of really powerful things that you can find in these rooms. We also have a chance for upgraded cards from our regular foes. And of course, we're now going to face Act 2 combats. Act 2 really steps up the enemy strength, and enemies will do either a lot more damage very quickly, and they'll also usually have quite a bit more health. A lot of foes in Act 2 have around 100 hit points, so being able to do 100 damage very quickly is one of the quickest ways to make it through this act. There's also very scary elites in this act that threaten the player with multiple foes, or with lots of damage immediately, both things that we're a little scared of. Okay, let's just keep going here. What does our path then want to be? I think we'd like to hit at least 1 store. Because we have the Smiling Mask, hitting multiple shops might be a reasonable idea. These are the only stores in the act though, so I probably want to go to 1 or both of these, which means starting in either the middle or the right half of the act. Pretty scared of an early elite combat, kind of like the idea of going rest site, into elite, and a couple card removals. I think that feels pretty comfortable. That'll let us upgrade a couple more cards, maybe the Rushdown, maybe the Vigilance, maybe the Cut Through Fate, something like that. How do we feel about events versus combats right now? Combats are card rewards and money, whereas events are chance for card removals, chance for unusual effects like bites and such. Maybe then I'll take 2 events and 2 combats along the way to that first fire. Actually, it's 3 combats, 2 events. That feels like a reasonable distribution. We could go heavier on the combat. Actually, we can't do better than that, can we? If I want to go to this fire, it has to be 2 events. Okay, let's just do that. The Shelled Parasite with its stinky 21 damage on turn 1. This could definitely be the time to make use of a potion here, as our hand of relatively cheap cards really doesn't do a whole lot against this opponent. Yeah, welcome to Act 2, no kidding. Alright, I'll use a Miracle, and then we're going to drink this colorless potion, looking for either card draw or enemy damage reduction. I think Dark Shackles will do just fine, bringing this 21 down to a 12. Then I can block for 7 and take only 1 with Tori. Perfect. Also want to bust through the defense layers of this opponent with our attacks here. Just lucky. Discard the Bowling Bash. I don't really want to draw that next turn. Play these again. Okay. And we're able to take only 1 here. We also actually didn't need the energy from that Miracle, but I had to play it to get room in hand. That was quite right. This is a bit better. We have Flurry in the discard too, right? That's correct. Question is, can I kill here? Vigilance, Flurry, Eruption, Crush Joints, Flurry, Strike, Strike. How much damage is that? 4 plus 9? Plus 20? And then everything's triple. 12, 18, 18. All told, that's 81 damage. That's a kill. That is a kill. Let's use the Miracle to activate the Crush Joints, though. Unfortunately, I'm not able to play the Wish. That's okay. I would be if I had kept the extra Miracle from turn 1, but someone forgot to do that. That's all right. So, as scary as that Shelled Parasite was, we ended up taking only 1 damage there, thanks to careful deliberation. Some block options here, 3 different defense choices, and given that the deck is pretty low on defense at the moment, I actually quite like that. Evaluate puts an Insight into the draw pile for a little bit of extra draw. Mental Fortress will be block whenever we change stances, or Third Eye is more scry and a little bit of flat block. Hey everyone. Did you know that you can now support me directly on YouTube by getting a channel membership? For as low as $5 a month, you'll get access to perks like custom badges and emojis to use in comments and discounts on the merch store, all while helping support me and this channel to do what I love every day. Just click the join button below to get started. Now back to the video. Evaluate and Third Eye are adding kind of more of the same, more cards that just kind of do some stuff without upgrades on them. They're not bad, but I think we can do better here. As this deck progresses, we're still looking for more stance-changing cards to add. Getting block whenever we do so is going to be one of the greatest ways for this deck to quote-unquote scale into our late game. Able to capitalize on what we're already trying to do. Enter Wrath and draw cards with that by adding some block as well. I think that's going to be very, very good here. So let's pick up this Mental Fortress. Overall ranking here, Mental Fortress first, Third Eye second, Skip third, Evaluate fourth would be my choice. Give me that. And we said we wanted 2 events and 3 combats. Chosen is going to debuff us with Stinky Hex, which causes us to add a status card to the draw pile anytime we play a non-attack card. However, I do so much damage on turn 1, we're actually able to just outright kill. But what about my wish? Hold on. What about that wish? Block? Okay, I'll wait one more turn. I don't like it that much. Hey, there we go. So we're able, in fact, to get our money here. By waiting a couple of turns. That was good. Cool. Crescendo Alpha Flurry. We've seen most of these before. The only one we haven't seen is Crescendo, a retaining Wrath entry. We want more stance changes. We have an eruption. We have a Rushdown and a Mental Fortress already, so more ways to get into Wrath is pretty good. And given that this is the first Wrath card we've seen, I think I'm going to take it. My ranked choice here is going to be Crescendo first, Skip second, Flurry third, Alpha fourth. That Alpha definitely does not help this deck and would very much get in the way in most fights. Something to think about as we go through the act, though, how do we eventually defeat the Champ at the end of the act? Champ's going to require us to do lots of damage in a kind of brief period of time after we get an initial phase of powering up. So as long as we can... I think just with the Strength Gain of Wish, we'll probably be fine against Champ. I'm taking this Crescendo, and I'll swap the Dexterity Potion for this Swift Potion for draw 3. I don't have a lot of block cards in the deck, so I don't think Dexterity, which adds a flat amount of block per block card, is all that useful. The Joust! We must bet on the fate of this Joust. A man trying to avenge his pet can bet on the murderer of his pet for a higher likelihood chance to win money, or take the long shot for the high payout on the owner. The average payout is slightly higher for the owner here, but you're more likely to get a return with the murderer. I like the kind of... You get a valid reason to pick either one in this event. I, for one, am a noodles betting man. What do we get? We lost the bet, but at least we weren't gouged by a lance. Oh well. I still think I want to avoid early elites, so we're actually not that bad at them. Been a little while since the last Noodles win. Oh man. Parasite is back and angrier than ever. Hello, Mr. Parasite. Let's see, Eruption, Bowling Bash, Flurry, Weave is not going to cut it here. I think I should use the Swift Potion. Otherwise, or the Block Potion, we could also use that, but I can't play Eruption if I don't Swift Potion. So, I'm going to Swift Potion. But in order to draw 3 cards, we must make room in hand here. You can only have 10 cards in hand at one time. Let's go Miracle, Mental Fortress, and play the Flurry. I'd like to kill the Parasite on turn 1. Okay, we got Vigilance. That is a little helpful. I guess I can Wrath do a bunch of damage and then end with Vigilance using a Miracle. That seems pretty good. Do something like Eruption here, then Bowling Bash here, Weave here, Flurry here. Play the Miracle to cut through Fate. That seems good. Or do we actually have the kill? I think with the Weave and the Cut Through Fate, I might have the kill here. Crate is welcomed. 8. Actually, no, I need the Bowling Bash and the Strike to get the kill. Otherwise, we're off. Or wait, no. We're not off. There we go. All that pretty acceptable. No chance of wishing for money, though, as we have to finish off the Fungi Beast or take a ton of damage here. So we'll just bop it. Okay, a pretty comfortable fight. We're offered Fasting, Prey Plus, and Follow-Up. Intriguing. Prey Plus is a lot of Mantra. I think this could have been a really interesting Mantra run, potentially. My rank choice here, I think skip first. Prey, Fasting, Follow-Up? This is a tough one. It's a really tough one. Strength and Dex makes our attack and block cards a lot more effective, but the reduced energy per turn is a real problem if you're only got 3 base. I think I'll be skipping these cards, even the free upgrade on the Prey. Okay, and we're gonna go this way. Grab some upgrades. All right, we get to a store. Cheap card removals thanks to the Smiling Mask here. Also a bevy of cards on offer. I particularly like Empty Fist, letting us exit our stance. Something we're lacking at the moment is the ability to do that. Card-wise, I like the Empty Fist. I'm okay with another Crescendo, but I don't think we need 2. I don't think the Like Water, the Perseverance are very good, but the Reach Heaven's okay. Guaranteed damage on turn 1 with Dramatic Entrance could be interesting, since we have the additional card draw of the Bag of Preparation. But I don't think it's that good. Watcher's X cost cards in general aren't that good, which makes Chemical X fairly less valuable here. Bronze Scales makes us do some damage back, and that's pretty decent passive damage. I think Bronze Scales is generally a pretty good purchase. We're definitely going to remove a card, and that card is going to be, I think, a Strike at this point. We've gotten enough additional damage cards that we're no longer relying on the strikes for damage, so let's start losing those. So we have at least, oh, this was a secret shop. We have 2 more shops coming up this act, potentially. I'm just going to save our money for those, as I don't think any of the things in this shop are that amazing, not even this Empty Fist. And we're going to try to keep our hands on the resource for now. So many good upgrades. It's all right. Okay. So 2 upgrades. I think Rushdown is a very good upgrade, making that free. Could argue the same for Crescendo. I think adding additional damage to all enemies with Consecrate matters quite a bit. And I think upgrading the Mental Fortress for 2 more block per stance change is also good. Our next priority is defeating the elites of Act 2, which are often multi-enemy fights and do require a lot of damage output. So I really like the idea of upgrading Consecrate here. Let's do that. Get our area damage boosted. Ah, the good old Knight and Mystic. A classic 2-enemy fight. These 2 test your ability to prioritize targets, partially. The Knight in front has high health and blocks for the Mystic frequently, whereas the Mystic will periodically buff strength of both of these, as well as heal them. Generally speaking, I consider the Knight, or the Centurion, to be the priority target, that frontliner there. If the Mystic is killed, the Centurion will become angry and do a ×3 attack. We're going to... That said, we might want to consider killing the Mystic here on turn 1, because we can prevent her 9 damage attack and end in Wrath stance. With the goal then being to kill the Centurion on the following turn. The shrimps on his helmet, huh? Kind of shrimpy. There's a serpent. Kind of looks like the Snecko on the armor. But I don't know about those eye holes. Let's see, so we do 9, 29, 29 plus 21, exactly 50? Okay. Go for the Mystic first. Then I have to do a lot of damage next turn. That seems really unlikely, actually. I've made a mistake. Actually, wait, have I? Because I can wish for 4 points of strength here, which makes this plus 8, 16. $48 plus 20. 68. What's this? Okay, yeah. That's a kill. Go Flurry, Weave. Just lucky brings the Flurry back. Or the Weave back. And then Strike will kill with Miracle. That was close. Here's that nasty ×3 attack we were talking about, by the way, for killing the Mystic first. But ultimately able to prevent all the damage there. We're offered another upgraded Crush Joints, which could help keep our Vulnerable applied. Wouldn't consider such a card without a free upgrade on it. There's also a follow-up and a halt. My ranking for these cards, I think Crush Joints 1, Skip 2, Halt 3, Follow-up 4. And I'll be taking this upgraded second copy of Crush Joints. We also get to upgrade one more card here before our first elite fight. I think the upgrade to Cut Through Fate, Just Lucky, Bowling Bash, or Actually, no, let's get these energy upgrades done now. Let's start with the Rushdown and then get Crescendo upgraded too. That can help us preserve our miracles from the Holy Water. In our mid-act chest, there is a boat thingy. We are a double boat, giving us block on turn 2. Now, in addition to turn 3, guaranteed free block is very, very helpful in giving you, I guess you could call it tempo, giving you one-time bonuses that you can capitalize on to get ahead of the curve in various combats. That's how I tend to look at one-time energy reductions too, like making Crescendo cheaper. Gives you this one-time burst, which could be really, really powerful if effectively utilized. All right, we need to survive this elite fight to get to the shop. Our first elite is the 3 Slavers, one of the most dreaded encounters here in Act 2, and for good reason. Look at that damage output on turn 1. 34 combined damage from these nerds. That's scary. Fortunately, we have some allies in this fight, and I think first and foremost is going to be Wish for Strength here, to make our Consecrate do big damage, to make our Flurry do big damage. And then we can employ the Block Potion and these Defends to block a little bit. But we absolutely, positively need to make these nerds die. Wait, Wish first? Bam. Generally speaking, my targeting priority in this fight, the back guy first. This one can inflict Vulnerable upon you, which is very, very, very deadly. The middle one adds wounds every turn, and the front one weakens you. The middle and front can be either or in terms of their priority, but it's almost always take the red guy in the back first. Almost always. So currently I take 1, 7, 14. 0, 1, 14. I go to 22 block. Take 12. I'm gonna keep 2 miracles. Do a little bit of damage for Tori here. There's that stinky Entangle. Entangle is absolutely not allowed. This status effect prevents us from playing attack cards on our turn, which is notably most of our cards. So we have to kill this Slaver before that occurs, or else. Weave in the discard? No. Okay. And I'm guaranteed getting Wrath next turn, so let's use these 2 miracles to play the Vigilance and get my flurry back. When would you wish for armor? Armor wish can be useful in long, drawn-out fights, such as the Awakened one is a good time for wishing for armor. I tend to think. But I think armor is probably what I wish for least often, all things considered. Get meat on the bone, a beautiful reward there, healing us if we're below half after a combat. We're offered an Omniscience, a pressure points, and a follow-up plus. Omniscience is another kind of late-game scaling card. You get to choose any one card in the draw pile, play it twice. Where an Omniscience is best is when used to duplicate a big, expensive card like this Wish, or our Mental Fortress, or a Rushdown. Just any kind of power is usually a good target. It could also be a really good way to play a powerful damage card in the draw pile 2 times, such as Ragnarok or Sands of Time. Not taking a pressure points here. Follow-up's okay. I think my ordering here is Omniscience 1, follow-up 2, skip 3, pressure points 4. The upgrade on that follow-up makes it better than the others we've seen. Okay. We get to a shop. Can buy stuff here. Thing that really stands out to me is Inner Peace, a way to enter calm, something we desperately need. I think there's maybe an argument for this Wave of the Hand, too, as it can apply Weaken to all enemies, something that Watcher really likes for her later game. And we definitely want to remove cards with our Smiling Mask. Other things that are okay here, Master Strategy, although it's very expensive, is a ton of free card draw, which is very powerful. If you Omniscience the Wish, yes, you can pick 2 different effects. So you can wish for strength and armor, or you can wish for the same thing twice. The only thing you can't wish for is more wishes. Alrighty here. What do I want to do? Relic-wise, Akabeko makes our first attack each combat do more damage. Most powerful with attacks that either hit multiple times or attacks that hit all enemies. It's okay here. Fish is money per card we add. Need to add a lot of cards to justify the fish, so I don't think we're going to be doing that. Or the Cauldron, which gives us 5 potions to look at. It's not too bad. I, for one, am taking this Inner Peace. And I am removing another strike card. And what am I doing from here? I could opt for another upgrade instead of the second shop. Yeah, let's add this Wave of the Hand as well. We're starting to build out a defensive plan for the later game. As you get into the later combats of Slay the Spire, it becomes less and less possible to win them in a single turn with lots of damage. And so you need to have a comprehensive plan for mitigating enemy attacks. Weaken and powers that block can all really contribute to this. Do I want to buy 1 potion for safety's sake? I think Blessing of the Forge is a very good potion, allowing us to upgrade everything in our hand for 1 fight. Let's do that. I'll buy that as a bit of an insurance policy. And I think the Flex Potion could be pretty good too. Snecko is going to be our next fight. Excellent crescendo. Let's instantly go ham on this nerd. Looking for more, as much damage as we can do on turn 1, realistically. Snecko confuses us, making our cards random cost. Which can be a little awkward, but could be really good here. For example, allowing me to Omniscience, playing Wish twice, and wishing for gold 2 times for plus $60. That's pretty sweet. And then I take 1 damage to do that. And we'll just finish the fight easy peasy like. Oh man, I should have gone Divinity this run. 2 Prey pluses. So a couple unupgraded attacks and the Prey. My order here, I think, is skip first, then sands, then pray, then conclude. We really don't need attacks like this at this moment. The weave and the flurry are really doing a lot of the work with just the strength we're able to get. We're skipping these. Alright, I got enough money that actually going to the shop is technically viable. But we'll instead take the upgrade here. I think we should upgrade our mental fortress for more block per stance change. And then our second elite fight is going to be against the Gremlin Leader. Gremlin Leader is a particularly challenging fight in Act 2 Slay the Spire. Gremlin Leader starts with 2 minions on the field and then summons additional ones over time, which can be particularly problematic. You can win Gremlin Leader fight either by doing just a ton of damage to the leader immediately, or by constantly picking off the minions, forcing the leader to resummon. This looks like a turn where I can do a ton of damage immediately if I use this Blessing of the Forge to upgrade all these cards. It's going to be a lot of damage, let's just say that. Check this out. Bowling Bash deals 30 times 3. Kabonk. And I do want to draw a wish, so hold on. Oh, I didn't. That's fine. Oh, right, they're upgraded, that's why. It's like, why did that not work? So confused. 18 free block next turn. There's no attacks in the draw pile, which is a little confusing here. This will work, I think. Hopefully we draw a damage card next turn. We do, as the deck is full of them. Okay. It was almost a little sketchy. We pick up the Vajra, +1 strength. Means all of our attacks do 1 more damage, and that'll help a lot when it comes to tackling our later game. We're also offered a Protect that says Plus on it, which is a lot better than the other Protects we've seen. 16 block with Retain. I think that's just barely good enough for me to include it here. My rank choice being Protect 1, Skip 2, Evaluate 3, Bowling Bash 4. Alright, I think we have plenty of strength for the champ, especially if I can use Omniscience to play Wish twice. Our last upgrade before the champ is going to be what here? Crescendo upgrade to make it free is really nice. We could also make our Flurry or Weave do a little bit more damage. We could make our Omniscience cheaper, so that's easier to play. We could make our Wave of the Hand apply 2 weak instead of 1, although I think 1 is probably sufficient for now. Let's get that one-time energy upgrade on the Crescendo rather than the Omniscience. I think that's my choice here. And yes, we do get Omniscience on turn 1, which we can use to wish 2 times. And I think the easiest way to beat Champ is just wish for strength 2 times. He is going to be very dead if I do that. So let's do that. Good turn for the energy potion, actually. Sure. Wishes. Strength. And strength. Become a 9 strength watcher. And then I have enough energy to crush joints and mental fortress. We don't want to enter Wrath just yet. The champ here is a two-phase fight, with him changing his behavior when he drops below half health. During the first phase of the fight, the champ gloats at you, constantly taunting you, and just kind of messing around, because you're not considered a serious opponent. But when you drop him below half health, he will purge all of his debuffs and enrage, attacking with a deadly ×2 execute attack, which is very scary. Our goal is to lower him close to half, but not actually bring him below half until we're ready to outright kill him. Thankfully, Protect is here. We just Protect Crush Strengths. I could also Crescendo try to draw to that Vigilance, but it's going to be 54 damage if I enter Wrath. Let's not do that just yet. Okay, I think now is the time when we're ready to go ham here. Playing our Crescendo to enter Wrath, doubling our damage, and with 9 strength, all of our attacks do pretty enormous hits. 48 off of that Cut Through Fate, for example. We'll find that Champ doesn't really get to live a whole lot. Now, does he? Okay, and our damage output is absolutely sufficient to get through our Act 2 boss. I think some more broadly useful rares here. Blasphemy puts us into Divinity, makes us die on the following turn. Blasphemy is all about getting a one-time spike of power, using it to end the fight decisively, and not having there be a next turn. That's the secret, is if you win the fight by killing the enemies, there isn't a next turn and you don't die. Scrawl is just lots of card draw. Draw cards until your hand is full. One of the best cards draw-wise in the game. Or another Wish, allowing us to potentially gain more strength or get more money. My ranked choice here, personally, I think would be Scrawl first. I don't really like this Blasphemy that much. Scrawl, then Wish, then Skip, then Blasphemy, I think. With a Scrawl being my preferred choice. And some wonderful options, boss relic-wise. 2 choices for gaining more energy, either the Coffee Dripper or the Fusion Hammer. Both give us extra energy every turn, but both come with a downside. Either we cannot rest for health at rest sites, or we cannot smith for upgrades at rest sites. Either of these are fine right now. There's not a whole lot of upgrades that are hugely important for this deck at this point. But I also think that we're highly likely to avoid needing to rest because we're healing with the Meat on the Bone and the Blood Vial relics. Often when I'm figuring out whether I can take Coffee Dripper or not, my first thing that I do is I look at the relics that I have available to me and try to determine whether or not I have healing. Since the deck is fairly expensive, and we've got good card draw, more energy per turn would definitely help a lot when it comes to tackling the later game. The other option is the Sacred Bark, making potions more effective. Don't generally like Sacred Bark that much unless I have more than 2 potion slots, or some other reason to want this, like maybe a specifically good potion. That's true. We also have guaranteed block on turn 2 and turn 3, as well as additional draw on turn 1, making all 3 of our first 3 turns boosted by some relic or another. That's pretty good. And I think that'll also help make this Coffee Dripper a nice and easy pickup here. But the idea is that with more energy per turn, we can play more of our cards, draw more cards, get more stuff done. And that's going to allow us to tackle the greatly renewed and powerful challenges here in Act 3. In Act 3, the rules of foes again shift. Act 3 is all about long, drawn-out battles against enemies that get significantly more powerful over time, usually. So in Act 3, having both a really good damage plan and some kind of longevity and block plan is essential. You really do have to have a coordinated and fully functioning deck of cards at this point. And we've managed to get there pretty well. We've gotten rid of half of our starter cards, we have a lot of upgraded cards, we have a few sources of card draw, and we have a lot of good relics that are helping us out. And it really is all of these things combined that are keeping us alive. If we didn't have all these relics from fighting the elites in earlier acts, we would be in tough shape here. If we didn't have all of these upgraded cards, we would be in tough shape here. So here in our final act, because I want to take this run to Act 4 and fight the heart, we still want to get as strong as possible. If your run is not going to the heart, not going to Act 4, then I usually advocate for simply reaching the boss with as much health as possible, avoiding unnecessary elite fights where you can, and keeping your resource high. But if you're looking to tackle the Corrupt Heart in Act 4 as I am, you're going to need to do better than that, and you must take advantage of the opportunity to fight elites in Act 3. Act 3 elites are no joke, they are tough, mean sons of guns who hit really hard or add lots of statuses to your deck. We have most of a functional deck of cards at this point. I think the question of question mark rooms versus combats has been swung in favor of question mark rooms here in Act 3, as there are a lot of good events in Act 3, and because we care less about card rewards at this point. There's a particularly good outcome we could get if we find a particular event in these first 3 question marks. So I'm going to start out here and take 3 events along the way to what might be our first shop. So let's start here. Deck really wants a talk to the hand. I think a talk to the hand could definitely be one of the good ways to scale from here, but in terms of blocking, we can also get there with another Mental Fortress Plus, or maybe a few more defensive relics. Alright, wish is in my hand. I'm just going to wish for money here. Nothing to omniscience. These shapes in early Act 3 are one of the easier fights to deal with. They're not too bad. Although the Spiker can really make you question your sanity if you've got a block light deck. They can be really awkward. Get 10 block, but they'll take 7 damage back when I strike the Spiker, so play the Consecrate that way. Spiker gets more and more spikes as time goes on, so focusing on them quickly is kind of important here. To Wrath! Beautiful. Give me that weave again. Yeah, this deck does want to talk to the hand, because we're playing so many attack cards. Doesn't get offered to talk to the hand, though. It gets offered a Halt, Consecrate, and Third Eye. Third Eye's takeable still, as we have a lot of use for Scry, but it's not incredible here. I think I'm going to go Skip first, Third Eye second, Halt third, Consecrate fourth as my priorities here. That's the plan. We'll skip. Okay, 3 events along the way to the shop. We want to be able to take advantage of all of these elites here in the left half of the act, fighting maybe 3 of them, also visiting several shops to get easy card removals with the Smiling Mask. Our first event is Glowing Tesseract, offering us colorless cards in exchange for health. You'll almost always see me pay 10 health to look at 3 colorless cards. That's because colorless cards are really good, especially here in Act 3. A lot of them are just free card draw, which can be really nice. And the 10 health penalty isn't too much most of the time. Lots of 0-cost cards in the colorless pool as well, which can be very good. And I really like some of the options that I'm seeing here. Let's see. Panacea. That's interesting. Lots of free attack stuff. So Secret Weapon lets us pull any attack from the draw pile, put it into our hand. Could be a really nice way to find Eruption. Or a way to get Weave or Flurry early, or a way to find Crush Joints. I think this is a really good card. So we'll pick up a Secret Weapon here over Swift Strike and Dramatic Entrance. Hand of Greed could be a way to earn yet more money, although not necessarily one that we need. Impatience can be card draw only if we can empty the hand of attacks, which sounds pretty difficult to do, given how many we usually have. This might be a skip. Hand of Greed's okay. Don't really like Mind Blast. Doesn't do that much damage for 2 energy. Currently we have 26 cards in deck. We draw 7 of them on turn 1, so this would be innate deal 20 for 2 cost. It's not that good. How about gain 1 artifact? That can block a debuff, which could be a debuff from the heart, or from any other enemy that inflicts it, like the Time Eater. We can also block our own debuff if we find a card like Fasting from the shop. Metamorphosis can also make 0-cost attacks, which can be very nice, but it's all up to luck what exactly you get. I think I'll take this Panacea. Just a one-time 1 artifact. We're going to skip this card reward. And I'd say this is actually relatively low in terms of the rewards that we got. Oh, we do. Yes! I was hoping we'd see this event specifically, because we have some sweet options here. Mind Bloom is one of the most powerful events in the game, exclusive to Act 3, and always offers you 3 choices. I Am War, you fight a boss from Act 1, which is pretty easy at this point in the game, to get some money and a rare relic and a card reward. That's pretty good. Almost always a good positive. But some of the other options might be better. I Am Awake upgrades every single card in your deck, and that is so powerful I really can't overstate it. Upgrading every card you have, if you're getting more than 10 card upgrades, is super, super powerful, but being completely unable to heal is a serious downside. Lastly, 999 gold, that's a ton of money, in exchange for being cursed with 2 normality curses. In order for this option to be appealing, you have to be able to get rid of those curses pretty quickly. Otherwise, they're going to seriously weigh you down. We have some seriously cool incentive for this final option here. There are 2 stores right in front of us that we could remove the 2 curses at, for 50 gold each with Smiling Masks. So those 2 normalities go away for only 100 gold, and I have 899 gold left. Also, I have the Darkstone Periapt Relic, so I'm going to gain 12 max health in addition to 999 gold and 2 normalities that I can remove. That's pretty sweet. That said, we could simply take the additional rare relic and remove 2 starter cards here, thin the deck out further. But I think this is a clear time where the 999 gold option really shines because of the presence of immediate stores here and because of the 12 health from the Darkstone Periapt. That's actually why I went this way, was for the chance we'd see this specific event and get this specific outcome. Can it really be this easy? And then I get a 3rd store. Holy moly, chat. The ridiculosity is out of control here. Just out of control. Like, really out of control. And there's some really good things I can do in the store. Really good things I can do in the store. Holy moly. So first and foremost, we remove 1 normality. That always happens. Other things that are here. Tantrum, I think, is a really good Wrath entry with how many points of strength we can get. Does really good damage hitting multiple times and puts itself into the draw pile. Tranquility could be another source of calm. I think that's okay. Study puts insights into our draw pile every turn. That's kind of a scaling card draw over time. That's all right, but I wouldn't call it amazing here. Apotheosis upgrades all cards in our deck for the rest of combat. Just a temporary, one-time Well, just a one-time upgrade, but we get to use it every fight. There's also Bottled Lightning here, which lets us have any skill start in our opening hand. And I think what's super strong here is taking this Apotheosis and putting it in the Bottled Lightning for the low price of about 500 gold here. That means we'll be able to play Apotheosis immediately on turn 1, but also, most importantly of all, it actually upgrades all 3 miracles from our Holy Water, which means we'll have 3 2-energy miracles in our opening hand every single combat. That's a lot of free energy. That's a lot of momentum that we can take advantage of. That's a lot of stuff we can do. We are super going to buy Apotheosis and put it in the bottle. Other good bottle target is the Omniscience, as we could then, on turn 1, duplicate Wish or duplicate one of our powers. But I think it's not as good as getting those miracles upgraded. I think I might buy this Tranquility and the Tantrum, too. I am buying Tantrum. It's going to be a Tranquility Plus. Yeah, I want it. Okay. And we will go to 2 more shops. That was most of our money. Now for the second store, where we'll get rid of the second normality. In this shop, we're offered another rushdown for more card draw. We're offered a Lesson Learned, which could permanently upgrade cards in our deck. Although with the Apotheosis bottle, there's no need to upgrade anything ever again. Relic-wise, Bird-Faced Urn heals us whenever we play a power. Don't have that many powers, but a little bit of healing goes a long way. Pennib could double the damage of every 10th attack we play. That's very powerful in general. Or Sling of Courage, 2 strength during elite fights. That would help me very easily kill the remaining elites this run. Definitely going to buy, I think, both the Sling of Courage and the Pennib here. And then we still have 1 more shop coming up. Do I want that rushdown? Yes. Yes, second rushdown will round out the card draw in a big way, I think. I'm going to upgrade this Bottled Apotheosis. This is the last upgrade we need to have. Any other upgrades are basically useless from here. Another Wish. Potion Belt for more potion slots. I will buy 1 last card removal, taking out this Strike. Do I add another Wish? Yeah, let's go double Wish. That sounds really entertaining, actually. Could also take the Strange Spoon, making cards that exhaust, such as Wish, return to play half the time, notably letting us keep our upgraded miracles, too. Which is kind of interesting. Could also save the Omniscience. Let's go Wish. And I'll keep the rest of our money. We've got 1 more shop coming up in Act 4. And it's definitely elite fighting time. I cannot wait. We got so much stronger since the last time we were in a combat. I cannot wait to see what this deck now does to our unfortunate foes. Poor Giant Head is not going to know what hit him here. Upgrade everything. Do you hear me? Everything. Okay, but I need to block. Got any of that block? That works, kind of. Actually, no, it doesn't. No block. Alright, you know what? Heck it. Double Inner Peace. Doubling Inner Peace puts us in calm with the first cast, then draws 4 with the seconds. And then Scrawl will draw until our hand is full again. That's actually pretty good. We get to play Rushdown, Secret Weapon for Eruption. Kind of a weird turn, though. And I want the Pen Nib on 8, so that the first attack I play after Eruption next turn will get double damage. Plus Wrath, so like triple damage. Oh, actually Tantrum, excuse me, not Eruption. Now we draw 4 cards when we enter Wrath. 100 damage strike. Now, hold on. We can draw even more cards here. Here's the power of the Stance Dance. Didn't get any attack cards? Well, with Rushdown, if we enter Wrath again, we can draw 4 more cards. Playing the Crescendo does that, but if we're already in Wrath, we can't enter Wrath again. But we can enter Calm with Tranquility and then enter Wrath with the Crescendo, drawing 4 more cards and playing Tantrum for 57 times 4. Got him. We get a Mango bringing us up to 94 max health here. We just got tons of max health in a few floors. We're also offered another Omniscience. Omnisciences work with each other. With 2 Omnisciences, you can Omni to begin playing more cards for free. It's a great inclusion here. My ranking overall, Omniscience first. I think then Cut Through Fate, Skip, Evaluate. Wish for more wishes. It's happening. What's in this chest? Kurya, that would be insane. Allowing us to lift for strength permanently instead of resting at rest sites. However, if we want to go to Act 4, we have to take the blue key now, as this is our last chance. So the Kurya will not be taken. Alright, Reptomancer. Reptomancer's a pretty scary opponent, constantly summoning daggers. This is one of the biggest damage checks in Act 3. If you cannot do any damage to Reptomancer, she can attack you for 100 damage on turn 2. Think about that for a second. 100 damage. Can you block for 100? No. No, you can't. Nobody can. Nobody. So that means usually the quickest way to win this fight is just hitting the Repto really hard in the face. Which is nice. We've got that. Let's go Eruption, then Miracle, then Crush Joints, then play these cards. Now draw 9. Beautiful. So with Omniscience, I can Omni for the other Omni. We can play Wish twice for money, and then I can kill with what? Double Consecrate? Double Bowling Bash? Oh, Consecrate's in my hands. Got it. So yeah, let's Wish. Or no, it's supposed to be Omniscience, not Wish. Excuse me. I'll Wish for money. Kill those daggers. Omniscience and Wish look so close. Okay, in that case, we'll try to draw the other Wish the old-fashioned way. Flurry in the discard? No. It's fine. We win the fight and get a Teardrop Locket, starting combat in Calm Stance. We're offered a 3rd Rushdown, which could be okay. I think 3 is probably a few too many, usually. 2 Rushdowns is about the right number. It's also another source of weaken in this Sash Whip. My rank choice here, I think, would be Skip first, Rushdown second, Sash Whip third for the weaken, Sanctity last. The card draw is okay, but... Since we have that Apotheosis on turn 1, there's no need for rest sites. Let's just take events and combats through the rest of the act here. Still in the easy fights. Good. See ya. Block with this. Keep all these cards in hand. These guys are pretty... Hey, here we go. So here's the actual way to do this. Omniscience or Omniscience, targeting Wish. Targeting Wish. So I wish for money. I wish for money. Wish for money. I wish for money. And now we're rich. Draw some cards. Draw some more cards. And now I'm going to bonk this guy. And this is definitely the cumulative weight of all of our relics and all of the upgrades that we've gotten, really starting to hammer home and destroy the Spire. Oh man, I like my options here. 2 cards that say Calm on them. Ignore the free upgrade on the inner piece because we have that Bottled Apotheosis. All of our cards are essentially upgraded. Meditate gives us 2 cards from the discard pile, putting them back in the hand. Really good way to get Vigilance and Eruption together. But inner piece could be more card draw. And then Skip and Evaluate are my least 2 preferred choices here, but either Meditate or inner piece is great. I'll go with the Meditate. Meditate allows me to fetch any card I wish from the discard pile. That's great stuff. Also, guess what? I'm wishing for money. We also get to completely block this with our artifact. How cute. I'm gonna discard that Rushdown so that I can use the Meditate to get it back into my hand here, too. We've definitely reached a point where this has gotten a little bit degenerative in terms of our deck build. And I think that's totally okay. A lot of times that's what your Spire run is trying to do, is trying to achieve some kind of shenaniganery that you can use to obliterate your foes. Not quite in the style of Monster Train, but pretty close. I want to pen nib this Tantrum, but it goes back in the draw pile, so maybe just draw it again. Yeah. In fact, I can Tantrum, and then use Secret Weapon to get Tantrum back into my hands. Beautiful. Here's another card that can exit our stance, which I think is pretty valuable, as we would like some more ways to get out of Wrath or Calm. Never saw an Empty Mind this run, which is card draw and stance exiting, but I do like Empty Body here. 7 block, exit our stance. This is close to the last card we're going to add to this deck. I mean, we don't get many more options from here. But at this point, we have what should be pretty functional for the late game. We have a damage plan that revolves around gaining strength and then multiplying that strength with both Wrath and Vulnerable. And we have a defensive plan that involves using Wave of the Hand and Mental Fortress to accumulate block and weaken here. Let's take an event over a combat. We're just going to speed this up a little bit as we go to the end. These 3 Darklings all have to die on the same turn. I can absolutely oblige them. Should be pretty easy. Draw some more cards. With a decent draw, I should be able to kill them all on turn 1 here. Interesting. Well, I can't Omniscience my wishes if they're just in my hand. Now, can I? Suppose I can play them all normal style. Sure. $22. Okay, let's swish one more. Actually, no. Let's just end this fight. Don't need to play that wish. Another Third Eye, Consecrate, or Empty Body. I could reasonably take 1 Third Eye, just for a little bit more scry, and 1 last block card. This is almost assuredly the last card I add to the deck, bringing us to a nice 35 overall cards. Liquid Bronze could be rather nice for our Heart Fight. as it does 3 damage back whenever we're attacked. That's probably more useful than the Bottled Miracle, as I have so much energy on turn 1 already. Secret weapon for Tantrum. So many enemies we're just able to kill kind of easily on turn 1 now. Really is kind of unfair. Look at that. Only 23 health left on turn 1. Just go for an easy kill now on turn 2. Money. Again, not exactly typical gameplay at this point, but it's pretty spicy. Could take this Cut Through Fate, but I just took the third eye, so we got our Scry card. We don't need any more. Okay. Since we're playing on Ascension 20, we now have to defeat 2 bosses here at the end of Act 3, which is going to be a very big test of how well this matches up against the late game. Time Eater is kind of a consistency check. This guy will debuff us constantly, lowering our card draw per turn, as well as adding slimes to our deck that can make it really difficult for us to get the cards in hand that we need on at any given moment. Time Eater also has a time limit, or a time warp ability. Every time we play 12 cards, our turn is ended, so we have to not play cards that do relatively little damage. Anything that does 10 or less damage or blocks for 5 or less is barely worth playing here, because the boss will gain power. So oftentimes, against Time Eater especially, it can be worth it to just end your turn once there's no longer anything productive that you can do, and cease playing additional cards. This is really not where I wanted to see both wishes appear. I was hoping to omniscience at least one of them. But we can play them now, choosing to gain some mixture of plated armor and or strength. Could even wish twice for plated armor here, but I think we should wish for some strength to give us the damage we need to defeat the Time Eater. Let's also take a look at the top 5 cards of the deck. Consecrate, Tantrum, Omniscience, Ascender's Bane, Eruption. We'll lose the Consecrate, the Ascender's Bane, and the Eruption. Keep Tantrum, Omniscience for next turn. This brings me to 32 block. And then an 8 plated armor would get me to 40. So we're not able to really meaningfully block that much either way. I think what I'm going to do is wish for strength 2 times. The simplest and easiest way to end our boss fights from here. I want this to be what? Mental Fortress, Miracle, Protect. The problem with that is that I leave the timer on 11 cards, which is not acceptable here. What we could do is play a full 12 by employing the Colorless Potion, or I can opt not to play some of these cards. I think I'll play the full 12. We can buy a new potion pretty easily with our filthy amount of money. So I will add this Thinking Ahead, I guess. Put the Omni back on top. We knew that the top card was Omni, too. Know that. Actually, no, put the Tantrum on top. And then go Miracle, Protect, Mental Fortress. Take a bit of a wallop here, but we have health to spare. 94 of it, to be precise. And I think we have an overall pretty good turn here. Since we can exit Wrath, let's enter Wrath. Do some damage, and draw a ton of cards. Don't forget, every 10th attack is doubled in damage with a Pen Nib. We'd love to double this Tantrum here. Bonus points if I can crush joints. I can. So that's going to be 72 damage times 4. GG. all about that damage multiplication. A very core truth to Watcher runs. Pen Nib and Strength and Wrath and Vulnerable. All of these are multiplicative with each other. Or all of these stack with each other in a way that makes very big numbers, as you can see. Beautiful. Simply beautiful. Secret weapon for Cut Through Fate, because this hand does not do a lot. Only able to block for 16 out of 24. Here against Donu and Deka. This is all about... I guess I would call this a momentum-based fight. These two attack every single turn, and every 2 turns their strength goes up. So the damage per turn that you face here just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. However, this deck is able to put out such high output numbers that I think we're gonna just thrive here. Especially if I go scrying and find, like, Rushdown. Vigilance is fine, too. Lose the Crush Joints, keep the Wish. Defend Vigilance is almost a full block. We'll block for 20, take 1 with Tori. Could play Eruption for 20 damage, but only if I'm willing to use a Miracle. I am not. So I'll just take 1 here. We'll go to the next turn. Double Wishes are again here. Intriguing. I am more inclined to go 1 set of armor this time than 1 set of strength, just because of how the block lines up on this turn. This 3 block brings me to 17. 17 plus 8 is 25. Yes, yes. So I'll wish for armor here. Not sure what's left to Omniscience, but we'll find it. So here I'm going to wish for 8 plated armor. 8 block per turn, although it goes down by 1 whenever we take damage. Our damage is going to be focused on Donu first here. Donu buffs the strength of both of these creatures, whereas Deka blocks and adds Dazed to your discard pile. So they represent different threats. Usually I advise that you should go for Donu first if your deck is good at damage, and Deka first if your deck is good at blocking. But that's an oversimplification of it. We're going to rush down. Gonna Omniscience for the other Omniscience. I'll double Mental Fortress, and then I'll double, I guess, Tantrum? Sure, that sounds good. So we'll also gain 12 block, but we'll delete our Tantrum in the process. It's also randomly targeted, so we end up hitting Deka here by accident, and I'm okay with that. Alright. Wave of the Hand will apply Weaken to them. We're really starting to get into the filthy, disgusting territory for this deck now. Doesn't bring back the thingy, but we can keep blocking here. 100 block. Can you block for 100? So we also applied tons of Weaken to both of them here. And we should be able to finish 1 or more of them off this turn. Discard that. That. Top of the draw pile, Crush Joints, Secret Weapon, Wave of the Hand, sure. Actually, I don't need the wave. And we'll again get back Eruption. This has gone very well. We just have a lot of damage to kill with here. Okay, beautiful. This run has absolutely gotten very, very strong. I mean, duplicate copies of Rushdown, duplicate copies of Wish, really helping us tackle the late game very, very easily. Been loaded up. So, that's the end of a normal run of Slay the Spire, but because we grabbed all 3 keys, red, blue, and green, we had to go here to Act 4, where we also face the Corrupt Heart of the Spire. None of these upgrades matter in the slightest, thanks to Bottle Apotheosis. I can't rest, so I guess I'll just upgrade Panacea? None of them matter. None of them matter. And we have good money for this final shop, courtesy of those wishes. Some beautiful things on sale here. Another Mental Fortress for more Blanquitude. An Empty Mind for card draw and stance exiting. There's Ice Cream here, allowing us to conserve energy between turns. I think that's pretty good. And would go great alongside Nunchaku, giving us energy every 10 attacks played. The only thing that I think is not that good here is Toolbox, giving us 1 of 3 random colorless cards on turn 1. That's not because Toolbox is bad, but rather because we already have 10 cards in our opening hand. 5 base, plus 2 from Bag of Preparation, plus 3 from Holy Water is a full hand of cards. You cannot add a card to that hand, so the Toolbox must come at the expense of another card. Therefore, I don't think it's very good. But I do like this Ice Cream, I do like the Nunchaku, I do like a card remove. I do like some of these potions. Strength Potion is the simplest, no-nonsensest way to get where we're going. But I think the Liquid Memories could do a good job too, and the Entropic Brew could just be a lot of potions. Start here. Nunchaku, Ice Cream, remove, defend. And I could afford some combination of Fortress, Strength Potion, Empty Mind. I think I'm going to do it without the second Mental Fortress. Although this is probably quite helpful. I'm going to try to do without. Relying on my Omnisciences to get me there. And our high max health. And I will take the Strength Potion. Yeah, we'll leave this one out. But it's a pretty decent second Mental Fortress. Alright, on to the final challenges of this run then. We have 1 Elite, the Spire Spear and Spire Shield fight to get through. These 2 are awfully spicy. They have relatively low total health, just 300 combined between the 2 of them, but their damage output is massively threatening, starting on turn 2. This guy will add 2 burns directly on top of the draw pile, and then from there we're going to have a tough time. Easiest way, bar none, to deal with Spire, Spear, and Spire Shield is to kill them on turn 1 with overwhelming offense, if that's available to you, and trust me, it is available to us right now. But there's a few other options too. We can double both wishes. We can gain so many points of strength here. But I think what I might want to do is double Wish for Strength and double Rushdown so that I draw 4 cards off Tantrum. Let's do that. So Omni for Omni, double this Wish, double this Rushdown. But we do lose out on gold. $28 damage 4 times. Tough life, Mr. Spire Spear. It's a really tough life. Alright, well that's the Spire Spear and the Spire Shield. Normally this fight is a lot tougher. But if your Watcher has really good offense, then heck, you've got it sorted. We pick up a Shuriken, giving us strength for playing 3 attacks, and we could pick up one of these cards. I think the Like Water could help a little bit. But the Collect and Alpha are probably detrimental, even with the Ice Cream. This is trading a card draw for some energy. Okay, I'll skip these 3. I think Thorns Potion, Liquid Bronze, and Strength Potion are our best options for the heart. This will do good damage back when we're attacked, and a little bit more strength goes a long way in that fight too. If we're lucky, we'll see our Panacea early. But overall, I think we're just in excellent shape for this fight. That said, heart is pretty dang difficult. This boss has the highest health of any boss in Slay the Spire, as well as the invincible buff, meaning the heart can only lose 200 damage per turn. That means even if I do as much damage as possible, we have to survive 4 turns of attacks from the hearts, and the heart has some very rude attacks that are going to make that rather challenging. We'll be drinking both of our potions here for 2 strength and the thorns. We also take damage whenever we play a card against heart, which makes card spam strategies rather difficult in this fight. We'll have to deliberately take some damage here and there, starting with 2 damage for playing Apotheosis, before I'm allowed to play Vigilance here. Get these miracles in play. Let's go Apply Vulnerable, Rush Down, and now I'll draw, taking 2 more. Okay, one of our wishes is in hand. It's a good time for Empty Body. Still no Wrath Sores, but that's okay. Just the sheer number of cards we're able to draw in turn 1 is very, very helpful here. If we can get these powers set up, everything's going to be good. So let's find out what's on top of the deck. Here's Panacea. That'll block Vulnerable. That's hugely important. I'm not going to play this. Actually, Rushdown will draw cards. 4 cards. So actually, I will play that Tantrum. And I need to make sure I have 4 spaces in my hand to actually draw cards with. It's easier said than done. That I don't need. Defend, then Tantrum? Oh, I might have wanted to wish for Strength sooner. Should do that now. I don't know what I'm drawing into is the thing. I don't know if I want to play Omniscience instead of this wish. So I'm going to hold off on actually playing Wish for the moment. Secret Weapon. Also did not get to double Mental Fortress. This definitely gets played. This definitely gets played. What weapon am I secretly drawing? Flurry? I have to take some more damage here, but I think this is worth it. We go Flurry, Tranquility, Flurry, Eruption. There we go. Finally, we got an Omniscience, so I can Omniscience for Omniscience, double 2 cards in the draw pile. That's going to be double Wish. It's happening. Honestly, I don't think we need to Wish for Strength twice, because we can't do more than 200 damage per turn to the heart. So let's Omni, double Wish, double what? Whatever card I pick is going to get destroyed. I guess I'll lose the Inner Piece. That also gets me more draw right now. So 4 Strength and... Ow. 8 Plated Armor. It's going to make this Wave of the Hand more relevant too. And then Meditate is the last card in the draw pile. I don't think that that's what I wanted, but that is now where we are. So I think I stop here. Oh wait, oh shoot. Made a terrible mistake. Oh, good. Meditate. It was like the 5 statuses go into the draw pile. With only 1 card in the draw pile, there was a chance that I actually just drew all 5 statuses, but we still would have lived, even in that case. As it stands, we can significantly mitigate this turn by going Protect and then Meditate. I won't completely block the Heart's damage. It's still going to be 33, and we'll block for... Actually, we will fully block it. Good. I'll get back Tantrum, and I guess the other Wish? Question mark? Definitely not going to be a 4-turn Heart fight, as I was unable to do any damage this turn. Actually, give me back Vigilance. Any reason for not playing the slime there? Yes. With the Ice Cream, we get to keep that energy for something else. But there was some argument for getting rid of it there, I think, yeah. Shouldn't matter one way or the other. Now we're just kind of executing on what we know here. Doing as much damage as possible each turn. And blocking where we can. Also Scry, give me a better turn next turn. Here I'll get rid of the slimes. So intro Wrath. And then all I have to do is draw that again, yeah? Especially with Pendib. So let's just set up Pendib. Pendib Tantrum to kill next turn. With bonus strength for good measure. $114 by 4. GG. Hey there, if you enjoyed that video, watch this one next. And before you go, join us on Twitch and watch live. I'm there 5 days a week playing Slay the Spire, answering questions, and chilling with the community. Click the link in the description to follow right now. Ta-ta for now.